I want to introduce the next First Lady of the United States, my wife, Ann Romney.
This has got to be a thrill of a lifetime. This is amazing. What a welcome. Thank you so much. This campaign is drawing to a close, and what a wonderful welcome that you've given us and what energy you've given us to know that we can finish this race strong. We are so excited about Tuesday, and we're so excited to be in Pennsylvania. I'm standing with a man that I've stood with for 43 years in marriage, and in every circumstance I have seen him be exceptional in every way. And I can tell you, he will not fail. We have got to get this right. We love this country. We believe in America. I'm going to watch this man save this country and put it back on track. The next President of the United States, Mitt Romney.
Here you go. Thank you, sweetheart, and thank you, Governor Corbett. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor Cawley. Thank you, all senators, also Senator Toomey. I can hardly get it out here. You guys have been out here a long time, though. And thank you to the next United States Senator from Pennsylvania, Senator Smith to be. Congressman Fitzpatrick, appreciate your being here. And how about that music? I understand the Marshall Tucker Band did a great job. Now, we are close to a place where a lot of people are still suffering the consequences of a terrible hurricane, as you know, and maybe even some here in this audience are having some tough times, and our hearts go out to you. And if you have some extra funds that you can provide to people, please contact the American Red Cross or the Salvation Army or any other groups that are helping provide care for those that are having a tough time. Thanks also to the governors that are dealing with this tragedy, particularly I think about the governor of New Jersey, Governor Christie. He's giving it all of his heart and his passion to help the people of his state. They're in a hard way, and we appreciate his hard work. Thank you, Governor. And I just got to say to you, what a welcome. Thank you so very much. This audience and your voices are being heard all over the nation. They're being heard in my heart. The people of America understand we're taking back the White House because we're going to win Pennsylvania. Now, I also want to thank the people who've been doing so much work in our campaign, making phone calls from our victory centers, putting a sign up in your yard or in your neighbor's yard, or by convincing a co-worker to vote for Paul Ryan and me. It means the world to me. Thank you so much. And now let's make sure that every single person we know gets out and votes on Tuesday. You know, what makes this rally and all your work so inspiring is that you're here because you care about America. It's a campaign about our country and about the future we're going to leave to our children. We thank you. We ask you to stay at it all the way until victory on Tuesday night. Now, it's possible that some of your friends or your family members haven't made up your mind as to who to vote for. So let me suggest that when you talk to them, you tell them to look beyond the speeches and the attacks and the ads, and you look at the record of the people running for president. Because, you see, talk is cheap, but a record is real and it's earned with effort. Change can't be measured in speeches. It's measured in achievements. And 4 years ago, candidate Obama promised to do so very much, but he's fallen so very short. He promised to be a post-partisan president, but he's been most partisan, dividing, attacking, blaming. It's not only Republicans he's refused to listen to, it's also independent voices. He was going to focus on creating jobs. Instead, he focused on Obamacare, and that killed jobs. Remember, he said he was going to cut the deficit in half, and then he doubled it. He said unemployment would be now at 5.2%. We just learned it's 7.9%. That's 9 million jobs short. Unemployment is higher today than when the president took office. He also promised that he would save Social Security and Medicare from insolvency. He didn't. Rather, he raided $716 billion from Medicare to pay for Obamacare. He said he was going to lower health insurance premiums by $2,500 a family. Have you seen that? Now, the American family pays $3,000 more a year now. And for gasoline, $2,000 a year more than when he was elected. Of course, he also said he would work across the aisle on the most important issues America faces. Do you realize he hasn't met on the economy, or on the budget, or on jobs with either the Republican leader of the House or the Senate since July? Instead of bridging the divide, he's made it wider. So many of you look at the big debates that we have in this country, not as a Republican or as a Democrat, but first as an American. You watch what's happened in this country over the last 4 years with an independent voice. You hope that President Obama would live up to his promise to bring people together, to solve big problems. He hasn't. I will. Let me tell you why he fell so short of what he promised. It's because he cared more about the liberal agenda than he did about repairing the economy. Did Obamacare create new jobs? Did his war on coal and oil and gas create new jobs? Did his Dodd-Frank regulations help banks make more loans to people who needed them? Does raising taxes put people to work? Did that avalanche of new regulations help small business? No, you got it right. Almost every measure he took hurt the economy, and it hurt our fellow Americans. Look, there are 23 million Americans that are struggling today to find a good job. 1 in 6 of our fellow citizens are living in poverty. And if you've even got a job, the middle class is being squeezed with lower take-home pay and higher taxes. I spoke yesterday with a wife of a 60-year-old man in the prime of his earning years. He's worked as a welder for 40 years, but he just got laid off. And so his wife says, how can I help? What can I do to help them, she said. And she made it very clear. They don't want a government check. He wants a job. Look, the president thinks more government is the answer. No, Mr. President, more good jobs, that's the answer. The question of this election comes down to this. Do you want 4 more years like the last 4 years, or do you want real change? Now, President Obama promised change, but he couldn't deliver it. You know, he couldn't deliver the change he promised, but I not only promised change, I have a record of achieving change. I built the business. I helped turn around another one. I helped put an Olympics that was off track back on track. And by the way, with the Democrat legislature, I helped my state turn from deficit to surplus, from job losses to job growth, and from higher taxes to higher take-home pay. And that's why I'm running for president. I know how to change the course the nation is on, how to get to a balanced budget, how to build jobs, and see once again rising take-home pay. Accomplishing real change is not something I just talk about. It's something I've done, and it's something I will do as President of the United States. Now, if you believe we can do better, if you believe we can do better, if you believe America should be on a better course, If you're tired of being tired, then I ask you to vote for real change. Paul Ryan and I will bring real change to America on day one. When I'm elected, the economy and the American job market is going to be stagnant. But I'm not going to waste any time complaining about my predecessor. I won't spend my effort trying to pass partisan legislation unrelated to jobs and growth. From day one, I'm going to go to work to help get Americans back to work. And people across the country are responding to our five-part plan to create jobs. Part one is about taking full advantage of our energy resources, our coal, our oil, our gas, our nuclear, our renewables. On day one, I'm going to act to increase the number of leases and permits for drilling on federal lands, and I will act to speed the approval of the Keystone Pipeline. Number two, I'm going to move to boost trade, especially with Latin America, and I'll finally designate China as a currency manipulator. We've got to fight for fair jobs. Now, third, I'm going to send to Congress something we're going to call the Retraining Reform Act to make sure that every worker can get the skills they need for a good-paying job. And fourth, I'm going to move to tackle out-of-control spending. I'm going to send Congress the first of several fundamental reforms that I call the Down Payment on Fiscal Sanity Act. We will immediately cut, not just slow the rate of growth, but cut government spending. I'm not just going to take office on January 20th. I'm going to take responsibility for that office as well. And number five, I'm going to act to boost small business and all business. I'm going to issue executive orders aimed straight at the problems that are holding our economy back. The first is going to grant state waivers from Obamacare to begin its repeal. The second is going to launch a sweeping review of all the Obama-era regulations with an eye to eliminating or repairing those that are killing jobs. And for the first time in 4 years, every entrepreneur, every small business person, every job creator will know that the President and the government of the United States likes them and loves the jobs and higher wages they bring to our fellow Americans. Paul Ryan and I are going to limit government instead of limiting the dreams of our fellow Americans. Now, our choice on Tuesday can lead to one of two very different outcomes. You know that if the president were to be reelected, he would still be unable to work with the people in Congress. He's ignored them, he's attacked them, he's blamed them, and that debt ceiling, it's going to come up again. And shutdown and default will be threatened. And, of course, that freezes the economy. By the way, the president was right the other day when he said he can't change Washington from the inside, only from the outside. We're going to give him that chance soon. Now, when I'm elected, I'm going to work with Republicans and Democrats in Congress. I'm going to meet regularly with their leaders. I'm going to endeavor to find the good men and good women on both sides of the aisle that care more about the country than they do about politics. Now, if the president were to be reelected, he's, of course, going to continue his war on coal and oil and natural gas. When I'm elected, we're going to change course on energy to build jobs, to help with prices at the pump. We're going to achieve North American energy independence in 8 years. Now, if the president were to be reelected, he'd continue to crush small business with his plan to raise taxes, to expand regulations, to impose Obamacare. I care about small business. I see it as a means for people to fulfill their dreams. Last week, I met Rhoda Elliott, Virginia, Richmond. She's been running her family restaurants for years. A business that's been in her family, Bill's Barbecue, for 82 years. At its high point, she employed 200 people. She just closed it down. She told me that the regulations, the taxes, Obamacare, and the effects of the Obama economy put her out of business. and she teared up. This wasn't about money. This was about a future for her family and for her family of employees. Look, I want to help the hundreds and thousands of these dreamers like Rhoda, and I will. You know, by the way, that if the president were to be reelected, he's going to say anything he has to get your support and to think that he's going to improve our schools. But in the final analysis, he's going to do what his largest campaign contributors tell him to do, and that's the public sector unions. And so your kids would have the same schools with the same results. When I'm president, I'll be a voice of the children and their parents because they don't have a union at the PTA. I want to make sure the parents have the information they need to know if the school is succeeding or not. And I want them to have the choice of the school they believe is right for their child's future. You know, when I was governor of my state, we took our schools to the top of the nation. And we did it by working together, Republicans and Democrats, listening to our good advice from our teachers and people who've dedicated their lives to teaching our kids, to listening also to parents, and always putting the students first and their education first. I'll do the same thing as president. Now, these last few months of our campaign, why, this has gathered the strength of a movement, which is obvious by looking around this audience tonight. And it is not just and not only the size of the crowds, it's also the depth of our shared conviction. It's made me strive to be even more worthy of your support and to campaign as I would govern and to speak for the aspirations of all Americans. I learned as governor of Massachusetts that the best achievements are shared achievements. I learned that respect and goodwill go a long way and are usually returned in kind. That's how I'll conduct myself as president. I'll bring people together. I won't just represent one party. I will represent one nation. Throughout this campaign, using every argument he can think of, President Obama has tried to convince you that these last 4 years have been a success. And so his plan for the next 4 years is to take all the ideas from his first term, the stimulus, the borrowing, Obamacare, all the rest, and do them all over again. He calls that plan forward. I call it forewarned. The same course we have been on will not lead to a better destination. The same path means $20 trillion in debt. It means crippling unemployment continuing. It means stagnant take-home pay and depressed home values and a devastated military. And unless we change course, we could be looking at another recession. In his closing argument, just this last week, President Obama asked his supporters to vote for revenge. For revenge. Instead, I ask the American people to vote for love of country. Together, we must lead America to a better place. Now, we're only 2 days away from a fresh start, 2 days away from the first day of a new beginning. My conviction that better days are ahead is not based on promises and rhetoric, but on solid plans and proven results, and an unshakable faith in the American spirit. If there's anyone worried that the last 4 years are the best we can do, if there's anyone who fears that the American dream is fading away, if there's anyone who wonders whether better jobs and better paychecks are a thing of the past, I have a clear and unequivocal message. With the right leadership, America is about to come roaring back. We're Americans. We can do anything. The only thing that stands between us and some of the best years we've known is lack of leadership, and that's why we have elections. This Tuesday is a moment to look into the future and imagine what we can do, to put the past 4 years behind us and start building a future. You saw the differences between the President and I when we were standing side by side in our debates. He says it has to be this way. I say it can't stay this way. He's offering excuses. I've got a plan. I can't wait for us to get started. He's hoping we'll settle. Americans don't settle. We build, we aspire, we dream. We listen to that voice that says we can do better. A better life. A better America. That better life is out there. It's waiting for us. Our destiny's in your hands. 2 more days. 2 more days and we can get to work rebuilding our country, restoring our confidence, renewing our conviction. We are confident that we're on a solid path. Confident that college grads 4 years from now will find better jobs. Confidence that single moms working 2 jobs will have a shot at a better job. I want to take just a moment and tell you about an experience I had just last night. It reminded me of something that happened many years ago. I was serving as a leader in the Boy Scouts of America. Got some scouters here, I can tell. We were at a court of honor. Big Formica table at the front of the room. I was seated at the end next to an American flag on a flagpole. And the person who was speaking was the scoutmaster from Monument, Colorado. He described the fact that his troop wanted to have a very special American flag. So they bought one and had it flown above the Capitol building. Came back home. They wanted it to go on the space shuttle. NASA agreed. He said the boys were so proud looking from their home rooms at school on the TV sets there. They saw the space shuttle Challenger launch into the air, and then they saw it explode on the TV screen. And he said he called NASA a couple of weeks later and said, have you found any remnant of our flag? And they hadn't. He said he called every week, month after month, nothing. Finally, sometime later, he was reading an article in the newspaper, and it mentioned the debris that was collected from the Challenger disaster. And there was a note about a flag, and so he called NASA and said, have you found some part of our flag? And NASA said, in fact, we have a presentation to make to your boys. So NASA came, and the Boy Scout troop gathered, and they were presented with a plastic container, and they opened it up, and there was their flag in perfect condition. And he said, that's it on the flagpole next to Mr. Romney at the end of the table. And I reached over and touched a hold of that flag and pulled it out. And it was as if electricity was running through my arm. Because I thought about the sacrifice of those men and women in our space program who put themselves in harm's way for learning, for pioneering, for us. It's part of the American spirit to live for something bigger than yourself. I see it in the men and women who serve in our military and have served us over the years. They serve us for liberty, for freedom, for hope and prosperity. I love all the verses in that wonderful hymn, America the Beautiful, but one in particular stands out. Oh, beautiful for heroes proved in liberating strife, who more than self their country love, and mercy more than life. Would our veterans and members of the armed forces please raise your hands and be recognized? We Americans live for things bigger than ourselves. Our schools, our churches, our families, our nation. I think about my sister. My sister Lynn is in her 70s. Her husband died a few years ago. She has 8 children, 7 of them married, kids of their own. The 8th child was born Down syndrome. He's now 43 years old. He lives at home with his mom. And she devotes her time and her care to helping that child and has all of his life for 43 years. She's a hero to me. I love America's moms, single moms, dads that make a difference for their families. This Christmas, I'm thinking of all the couples that are not going to be exchanging gifts with one another so they can make sure and have a great Christmas for their kids. Think of all the single moms who are scraping and saving to get by so they can make sure and have a good meal on the table for their kids at the end of the day. Think of all the dads and the moms that are working 2 jobs so they can buy the kind of clothes that their kids need so they won't stand out in school. We're a generous people. We give to others in need. We live for things bigger than ourselves. And on November 6th, we can come together for a better future. And on November 7th, we're going to get to work. I'd like you to reach across the street to that neighbor with the other guy's yard sign. And we'll reach across the aisle in Washington to people of good faith in the other party. This is much more than our moment. It's America's moment of renewal and purpose and optimism. We've journeyed far and wide in this great campaign for America's future. And now we're almost home. One final push will get us there. We've known many long days and short nights, and now we're close. The door to a brighter future is there. It's open. It's waiting for us. I need your vote. I need your work. I want you to walk with me. Let's walk together. We're taking back America. We're coming back. We're going to keep America the hope of the earth with your help, Pennsylvania. We love you. Thank you so very much. Great to be with you. Thank you.
This has been a Sunfish production.